Okay, we're continuing with quotes in the letter B. It's from the Holy Grail of Wisdom quotes by me, Pete Rogers. We're now on Hillaire Belloc. He was an intensely Catholic guy. He was born French, but his family sort of fled to England for a while. He later became an English citizen of England. He was part of the whole, Catholic revival, late 1800s, early 1900s. And so here's some quotes from him. He lived from 1870 to 1953. It has been discovered that with a dull urban population, all formed under a mechanical system of education, a suggestion or command, however senseless and unreasoned, will be obeyed if sufficiently repeated. Yeah, that's been my impression as well. Most people, they simply hear whatever seems to be around them, and they just consider it true. They don't really think very much, and it's sad because what it means is it's very easy to push them into slavery. Hillaire Belloc's next quote: all industrial civilization is clearly moving towards the reestablishment of a servile condition. Yeah. If you look at it, what's the big picture? The big picture is, if you got big money wants slavery. It's obvious. To control the production of wealth is to control human life itself. Yeah. So basically, I've heard people say, what is money? Money or a dollar? It's the ability to get other people to do things for you. So if you got a lot of money, you can get other people to do a lot of things for you. If I could live my life over again, I would have figured out a way to become wealthy. Don't get me wrong, I've done pretty well. I'm pretty fortunate and lucky in that sense. But I should have made it a higher priority because it opens up freedom and opportunities. Like, I admire Ben Franklin. He got so rich by the time he was 38, he could just do whatever he wanted the rest of his life. I wish I had done that, got rich young, then I'd have all this free time because I'm still working for several reasons. Okay, Hillaire Belloc continues. If you can describe clearly, without a diagram, the proper way of making this or that thing, then you are a master of the English language. Okay. Europe will return to the faith or she will perish. The faith is Europe, and Europe is the faith. Yeah, so he was really big on Catholicism, and I think there's truth in that. People think, well, you can have Europe without Christianity. No, you can't. You're not going to have it. Europe, it doesn't really exist anymore, and it's being more and more rapidly destroyed because it's turned its back on Christianity. Christianity is the fountain, the source from which all these good things come from. And you can't have Europe without Christianity. It's going to be this socialistic, slavery state. You can't have, all this great art without Christianity. Look at it. There's lots of smart people from cultures all over the world. How come they can't produce art like the Christians? Because they don't have Christianity. You're just not going to get it. And I hate to say it, but if you take away the idea of a God, man created in the image of God, therefore part divine, then he's nothing but a farm animal that talks, a talking primate, okay? And then he doesn't have a lot of rights. Okay, Hillaire Belloc continues. Ownership is not a general feature of our society, determining its character. On the contrary, dependence on a precarious wage at the will of others is the general feature of our society. Yeah, he knew a lot about economics and religion and history. If we do not restore the institution of property, we cannot escape restoring the institution of slavery. There is no third course. He that has not property is under economic servitude to him who has property. Yes, he's correct. Hillaire Belloc's smart. He tells the truth. Okay, next person here is Alan Bennett. We started off trying to set up a small anarchist community, but the people wouldn't obey the rules. Okay, that's a good one. The next one we're going to talk about is Jeremy Bentham. Okay, so Jeremy Bentham is sort of like this whole school of utilitarianism, and he relates to John Stuart Mill. And so Bentham was famous for this idea of a panopticon, where the persons or the prisoners were in a circle of cells and the guards in the center and able to watch them at all times like an eye in the sky. So that idea of a panopticon, there's a trend for modern life to become like that, and it's not good. And utilitarianism, which John Stuart Mill adapted, would say things like the greatest good for the greatest number. And at first glance, that sounds reasonable, but in reality, it's very evil. And Ayn Rand pointed it out best. She said, the greatest good for the greatest number is evil. It's fundamentally evil, because what it means is if there's 10 people and 9 out of the 10 are cannibals and want to eat the 10th one, they can do it because that's what they want. Versus what Ayn Rand emphasized, and she's correct, the most important thing is rights for the individual. Because if you respect individual rights, you respect all rights. Okay. Jeremy Bentham, if you want to win mankind, you must make them think that you love them. And the best way to make them think you love them is to love them in reality. Okay. So John Stuart Mill, he was a brilliant guy, and he did some good things. I mentioned him out of the relationship to Bentham and whatnot, and John Stuart Mill's father. But, Mill, he wanted freedom for the English. He didn't want freedom for the people of India. He didn't want freedom for the people of Ireland. Okay, and then you get into atheistic Darwinism, where England says we're the fittest, survival of the fittest. We've got might is right. We've got it, so we get to do whatever we want. And the Irish are low-life scumbags, so we can do whatever we want to them. So me, being a descendant of an Irish father, I don't like that idea of atheistic Darwinism, which basically says if you're not the dominant culture, everyone else is just a farm animal. And people don't understand that. That's how it always is. There's no way around that. And if you don't understand that, then you don't know what you're talking about, okay? This is just a little rhyme by Claryhoo. Geography is about maps, but biography is about chaps. Edmund Bentley Claryhoo. Okay, Bernard Berenson. He's another famous art critic here. He says, art is the instrument of Hellenism. All the arts work together to create the most comprehensive art of all, the free man. Okay, yeah, ancient Greece really sort of got the idea of freedom rolling. Other cultures were not that free. And it's because they traded with a whole bunch of different places. Okay, Bernard Berenson. Genius is the capacity for productive reaction against one's training. Yeah, I can tell you, it is so incredibly rare to hear refutation of conventional medical thinking. Docs, the smarter docs start doing it by the time they get in their 50s. The young ones usually, are too busy trying to just learn the basics. But by the time they get in their 50s, the smart ones start to realize, hey, there's better ways of doing things. Okay, the dumb ones just keep going with it till they drop and retire. Okay, Bernard Berenson. The Renaissance had resulted in the emancipation of the individual, in making him feel that the universe had no other purpose than his happiness. This brought an entirely new answer to the question, why should I do this or that? It used to be because self-instituted authority commands you. The answer now was because it is good for men. In this lies our greatest debt to the Renaissance, that it instituted welfare of men as the end of all action. Okay, Bernard Berenson. All right, but I would actually dispute that a little bit. The Renaissance was far more religious than is widely given credit for. Okay, Michelangelo was, his favorite book was Dante's Divine Comedy. Okay, look at all the religious paintings he did. It was much more religious than is widely given credit to. There's a few little here and there's, and the Medicis, but it's more religious than they're giving them credit for. Okay, Bernard Berenson continues. Literature is the autobiography of humanity. Yep. And that kind of reminds me of Gibbon saying that authors are the pride of a country. Bernard Berenson. Consistency requires you to be as ignorant today as you were a year ago. Okay, Bernard Bernbach, he's sort of an advertising guy. The truth is not the truth until people believe you, and they won't listen to you unless you're interesting, imaginative, and fresh. You've got to say the right thing in such a way that people feel it in their gut, because if they don't feel it, nothing will happen. Advertising is the art of persuasion. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Okay, great. Leo Burnett's another guy, let's see, with advertising. He says, curiosity is a secret of highly creative people. Yeah, and I think that's a key point, curiosity, because I know tons and tons of doctors, and hardly any of them ever do anything interesting. And the reason is they paid their dues, they got through med school, now it's time to make money and enjoy their life. Okay, and most of them are overworked and tired. But what I'm saying is the people who keep learning stuff, they've got this curiosity. They're interested. They really want to learn. So what I'm saying is the reason they learn the most is because they want to, and so it's a question of personality more so than IQ. Okay, Leo Burnett, don't tell people how good you make the goods. Tell them how the goods make them look good. So seeing it from their point of view. So I hope that was helpful.